Right. Let's see what is the meaning of coordination. Now, if you look at this picture, you can see this lady is holding a glass filled with water, and if you carefully look, first this lady has to focus to the glass. Then the glass is visible. After that, the hand goes to the glass and grabs the glass, and they can move the glass towards the mouth. Then only the person can drink water. And mostly it's a very small incident, like small thing, but we don't think about. If you're thirsty, take a glass of water and then you start to drink. But still, if you take this as a small example, we can define coordination. So here, at least, we can list hand and mouth. At least eye, hand and mouth, three body parts are involved. Now we can understand what is coordination. That is communication between different parts of the body at right time for a particular functions. So it's a sort of a communication. So what is the communication between different parts of the body? Here, eye, mouth and hand. Now, why it is required to communicate between different parts of the body? For a particular function. So it is important to drinking water, and these three parts of the body communicate. Then after that it is successful. Then only she can drink the water. This is just one example, but we can take so many examples. Our body is communicating many times during the usual day, right? So it's a communication between different part of the body for a particular function. Right now, what are the major component of this communication system? Okay, I will post these notes. You can include this later on. So I save this one. Image. June, July. Okay, next we're going to look what are the major parts of this communication system. So first thing is we can take a change so we can take a change in the environment. This change in the environment is called stimuli or stimulus. The stimulus is changes which take place surrounding of us. So stimulus is a singular, stimuli is a plural. Let's say the previous example, the glass of water, which is actually there, the glass, environment, the water glass. So that's the stimulus. But the stimulus now should communicate with the body. So the communication is happen through receptors. So receptors are the one which can detect the changes. So we can simply say that receptors are structures that detect the stimulus. So now we can link this with this one as a one communications. As a one communication, the stimulus linked with the receptor is the first communication. Right. Then after that, there should be a communication between the effectors. Now, what are effectors? Effectors are body parts. So then receptor communicate with different body parts for the next communication. Then effectors start to work. When the effectors start to work, it ended up as a response. So that is the final thing, response. So now we have four major components of the coordination. What are the four major components? The stimulus, number two, receptors, number three, effectors, number four, response. Right, we take the previous example. So seeing this glass of water is the stimulus, and this is detected by the eye, and then hand is the major effector in this case. Then drinking water is a response. So we can fit any different kind of situation according to this four component of the coordination: stimulus, receptors, effectors, and response. Right, so you can copy this down later on onto the notes on the first page. Right, now next we are trying to understand a little bit more what is the stimulus, what is exactly receptors, and how these receptors can communicate with the effectors, and then how effectors can make the response. So we are now going to next level to learn more detail about this process. Okay. Right, we start with the stimulus and the receptors. Right, what is actually a stimulus? A stimulus is, it's a kind of a energy source. The stimulus is generally, it is an energy source. So if we can see something, it's a light energy. So if we can see something, it is light energy. If we can feel something, it's a mechanical type of energy. If we can smell something, if we can taste something, it is a chemical energy. If we can hear something, it is sound energy. So we can basically categorize stimulus is different energy source that human body can sense, right? So example, light or heat. Right, then what are the receptors? Now receptors can detect this energy. So then I can write here energy detectors. So they can detect energy. For example, eye can detect the light energy. For example, skin can detect the heat energy. So likewise, we can list many receptors inside the body and the energy source, right? So let's a little bit look what are the main type of energy source and what is their forms and what are the receptors, main receptors we have inside our body, right? For that we're going to fill this table. You can find this in the notes section. Right, let's see. The first one is light is the energy source, and then this should be I. Then receptor is the ear. This should be the sound. Then here we have two function of ear. One is hearing, and also we are not much aware until we learn it. Ear is also responsible for the balance. So it's also responsible for the balance. Body can keep upright posture because of the balancing. How it really works, there is a fluid filled sac inside the ear, and inside this fluid filled sac there is a tiny structures which are floating, and they are connected to the nervous system. So they can really change the position, and these changes can communicate with the brain. That's why if we rotate 10-12 times, and then if we start to walk, we cannot maintain the balance, because when we rotate faster, this fluid also rotate, and then it disturbs these floating structures to maintain properly and communication with the brain. So it's another type of receptor, and the energy source is mechanical. Now tongue has receptors So they can detect taste as a chemical signal. Nose, smell, again chemical. Skin pressure, heat, touch, mechanical receptors. And again, skin has, apart from pain and touch, they have also temperature receptors. So here the sound is, the energy is then heat. Muscles, they have a stretch receptors. They are mechanical again. So light energy, sound energy, mechanical energy, chemical energy, these are the common energy source, and these are the common receptors in our body. Okay, the next thing is from the receptors to the effectors. What is communication? This communication is mainly handling by the nervous system. It's like a sort of electrical circuits. These circuits are connected receptors to the brain and then to the effectors. So it is a very advanced and complicated system made by the cells, and the cells completely create the nervous system. A nervous system can communicate from one place to another place through special electrical signals. So this tiny electrical change, actually we can measure even in milliwatt, and we should understand they are not often write as electrical signals. Even though they are electrical signals, we use nerve impulses. The word is impulse. But we'll see how the system is communicating and what is the component of the nervous system. Right, now when we're going to learn about the nervous system, so the nervous system has a main unit. The main unit is the brain. Brain is also made out of neurons. Basically, the cell types are neurons and some supportive cells. Then brain is connected to the spinal cord. Brain and spinal cord, we can consider the major part of the nervous system. As a result of that, this brain and spinal cord together is known as the central nervous system, abbreviated by CNS. Next thing is other part of the body, like hands, legs, stomach, chest, and everywhere. All these parts of the body connected by nerves, but they are they are starting from brain and spinal cord. So let's see if it is coming from brain like this. and they're going to different parts, let's say hand, or to go to nose, or go to eyes, or go to mouth, and directly they are coming from the brain. And some of the nerves, they are coming from the spinal cord. They are coming from the spinal cord. So the nerves which are coming from the brain is known as a cranial nerves. The nerves which are coming from the spinal cord is known as a spinal nerves. Now these two together we consider as a peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system is the cranial nerve and spinal nerve. Central nervous system is brain and the spinal cord. Right, this is the major part of the nervous system. Right, if you look a picture which can still show us a little bit more about the nervous system. It is a collection of large number of nerve cells, and they are distributed throughout the body. Their distribution is all over the body. Just a little bit to understand it, we'll see like this. Now you can see a brain and the spinal cord, where they're exactly located. Brain is in the head region and the spinal cord is in the back region. So then the nerves which are coming from brain and spinal cord, leaving from the brain and the spinal cord as cranial nerve and spinal nerve, and they're going to end up all part of the body. It's a very complicated and a big system in the body. Right, now if we want to still understand the structure of the nervous system is mainly made out of a special kind of cells. The main cells are called neuron. We call it neuron. And sometimes we use this word nerve. Nerve may be a collection of several neurons making a big pathway, and this pathway is referred as nerve. So it could be many neurons make one a big visible structure which is called nerve. Maybe if we take this nerve which is going to the leg, it is consist of many neurons. So neuron is the functional unit of the nerve. So we are going to learn next what is the structure of the neurons, how it looks like, and maybe later on we're going to see how this neuron capable of making small electrical changes, and how these electrical changes moving from one side of the body to the next side. Right, next we are going to move to understand the neurons, but before that we have another small two words to understand. These two words we learn like this. Right now, this nervous system is controlled by the brain and a little bit lesser extent a spinal cord. But basically the brain is the major place controlling the nervous system. That means if we look a function of the body, this function is controlled by the brain. And second thing is, we can also control certain extent our nervous system. We can also control to certain extent our nervous system. So we're going to learn what is the situation in which we can control the nervous system, and what is the example that the brain control the nervous system. Right? Okay. To understand that, we use this special two word, the voluntary versus involuntary. Right. In this case, the person can ride the bicycle because he thinks that he wants to ride the bicycle, and he take the bicycle and he hold the hands of the handle of the bicycle. Then he uses his legs to rotate the pedal. Then he can ride the bicycle. So it is controlled by largely this person, right? But if we understand it is brain is involved, I mean, brain is always involved for any kind of control system, but we are controlling it. That means how long we have to go, and how fast we have to go, and how the nervous system should control these the muscle contraction and all these things. We decide. Brain is still the main part doing it. Otherwise, without brain, they cannot communicate. But we can control our brain to do this function. So then, voluntary action is something that we can control. So we can say this one is a person can control. So we can say voluntary action is an action which can be controlled by the person. An action which can be controlled by a person himself or herself. Right. In the other hand, involuntary. Opposite of voluntary is involuntary. This cannot be controlled by a person. So we say it's a completely brain involved. It's completely controlled by the action of a brain, right? So we take one example. We can take several examples. Let's say digestion. Digestion, after we take food into the mouth and after we swallow the food, then we cannot control. It is controlled by the nervous system and involvement of the brain. And also we can take this one, not the best, because you will see later on Heart actually controlled by the heart itself. The beating of the heart is controlled by itself, but brain is also involved to increase or decrease the heart rate. So I mean, basically we can understand it is not voluntary because person cannot change the heart rate. It is only the brain and also heart. These two organ has the capacity to increase or decrease the heart rate. So these actions are involuntary. So nervous system has then two type of action. One is a voluntary action, other one is involuntary action. Right. Uh, then we should learn the neurons. So you can join next session because we are ending this session. We have to log again to keep on going for the next second session. Right. So voluntary and involuntary control of the nervous system we have learned in this lesson. Next lesson, we are coming to very important point. What is the structure of the neuron? How it looks like, and what are the important parts of the neuron? Neuron is the functional unit of the nervous system. Okay. So again, I can save this one, and you can add the notes later on. Not much, but still a little bit important definitions.